Hi, we're Lauren and Craig, and we've been travelling the world together since 2008. In this episode, we're spending a month backpacking around the Caucasus. Join us as we hike to the most beautiful viewpoints and meet kind strangers. Our first stop was the city of Caucasus in Georgia, where we headed straight out to an eatery to get some King Cali dumplings. We had a very rainy start to our trip, so we decided to visit the local food market.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, okay, yeah.
The weather remained terrible in Caucasus, so we decided to head east to Tbilisi. We spent a few days enjoying the city and had a traditional sulphur bath in the public pools for just €2 each. We also got to try Georgian food, which was very colourful. But our main reason for coming to Georgia was to hike in the mountains, and sadly in June there was still too much snow to do so we decided to head to Armenia next. We arrived in the capital of Yerevan, where we got a much friendlier vibe than we did in Georgia. We checked out a few sites in the city, including the only mosque in the country, as the other ones were all destroyed, and Armenia was actually the first country to make Christianity its state religion. We used Yerevan as our base to explore the country, and our first stop was the Symphony of Stones, which was this incredible rock formation. It was a similar style to the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland, but it went vertical in a huge cliff. The next day we ventured even further afield to visit Noravank, a gorgeous church built in this red rock gorge. It had these extremely narrow steps leading up to the second floor, and they gave me vertigo just going up them because it was really easy just to fall off. And I couldn't believe it, but right after taking this video of Craig, that exact thing happened, and a man fell off and his ankle snapped on the impact. He fell from the highest step and landed on a concrete slab, and within seconds there was a pool of blood around his ankle. It was absolutely terrifying because we were in quite a remote area and we didn't know how long it would take to get an ambulance. A local man started helping the wife, and we gave them some bandages and paracetamol from our first aid kit, but I was really shaken up from the experience as it could have happened to anyone. Luckily we saw the ambulance coming, so we set off on a snake-riddled hike to see the surrounding area. The next day we wanted to head to the border of Turkey to get a view of a volcano, but we ended up missing our bus. And there wasn't another one for 5 hours, so we decided to hitchhike, and we ended up getting rides with 10 different people throughout the day. 2 of the rides were with policemen, and one of them we were just sat in the back of his van without a seatbelt. We were also picked up by a monk, a paramedic, and 3 young lads who were super muscly and you would have been intimidated by if it was in England, but they were so friendly. We did get a brief view of the volcano we wanted to see, and we continued hitchhiking to a different area to see a reservoir. And if locals saw us waiting on the street, they'd come and give us apricots because it's apricot season here and they're the most delicious ones you'll ever try in your life. After about a week in Yerevan, we made our way north to see Dilijan National Park. The host in our guest house gave us some of his homemade wine and cognac, which was really nice to try. And the village we were staying in was full of stray dogs, and they were just the cutest little things, especially these puppies we met.
All the females. Yeah, we don't want any more of you guys around. Wow, so I have a big dog.
The main reason we came here was to go for a hike in the national park, so we set off one day, and on the walk we met this little border collie dog. I don't know if it was a stray, but he was so cute and completely submissive straight away, although he was prone to getting a little overexcited. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god, what do we do?
Our little friend Colin the collie. Hey buddy. Hey.
It was a really remote area, there was no one else around, so we were very surprised when an old Soviet Jeep pulled up beside us and offered us a ride up the mountain. One of them spoke English and explained that they were forestry workers, and we couldn't resist a ride because it seemed like such a fun adventure. The road conditions were absolutely atrocious. We were bouncing around like rag dolls in the back. And I was in hysterics because there wasn't any space for Craig's legs, so he had to have them tucked up like a little kid. The car was 40 years old and we had to stop halfway at a freshwater spring to fill it up with some more water. And this is the magical spot where the men dropped us off. It was so beautiful, but they did warn us to be careful of wild animals like bears. And ahead of us we had this meadow filled with wildflowers and a mountain view. Then we slowly made our way back down, stopping at the spring on the way to fill up our water bottle. We couldn't help but wonder where the little border collie went that we were hanging out with, so we were pretty excited when we spotted him on our way back down.
You're so happy, aren't you? You're so happy.
That evening we had a traditional Armenian dinner at our guest house, and the next day we headed back to Georgia. It happened to be my birthday, so I was pretty happy to be spending it back in the mountains. This is the lovely homestay we picked to stay at. It was surrounded by mountains, and we had this incredible view outside our window of Mount Kazbek, which is a dormant stratovolcano and stands at over 5,000 meters tall. So for my birthday, we set off on a hike to see Gergeti Glacier. We started nice and early, which was a good job because by 10 a.m. the clouds started wrapping around the mountains. We got some nice views of the glacier where we had a picnic lunch, and then it was time to head back down where we walked past galloping horses.
How's that striking go?
The next day hike we did was to the Juta Valley. And while we hitchhiked to most of the trailheads in Georgia, this one we paid for a taxi and he ended up being drunk. So it was a pretty terrifying drive, but the views on the valley were absolutely phenomenal and it looked like Switzerland.
Look at this lovely lake. It's only tiny, but we have these stunning mountains behind us.
After surviving the taxi drive back, the next day we made it to Trousseau Valley. Here we did a 25-kilometer trek through this valley filled with colourful mineral springs. The final hike we did from the village of Stepansminster was up to this flower-filled meadow. This was quite an off-the-beaten-track route, and we got some fabulous views of Mount Kazbek. It was one of the first days we had where the clouds didn't wrap around the mountain, so we got clear views, and we were surrounded by wildflowers. After exploring the high mountains, we headed to a different area of Georgia to visit Lagardeki National Park, which is bordered by Azerbaijan and Russia. And to get there, we hitched a ride with this lovely truck driver. This 40-meter waterfall is the reason why we came here. It was way too hot in Lagardeki with 35-degree heat, so we decided to head back to the mountains to Mestia, which sits in the Upper Svaneti region. It's a great area for hiking, and on one of the day hikes we did, we were joined by these lovely dogs.
Hey, Fred.
Now it's time to leave our backpacks at the homestay in Mestia and do the 4-day trek to Ushgili.